That's because we're about to cross over to my favorite section of the reserve. This area is called the Savanna.
Oh.
The Savanna is a pretty large area. It was split into several different sections due to the size of it all. And I always think that is really important to point out and recognize because these are mainly free-roaming animals. Of course, as drivers, we can always pick up on some favorite animal hangout spots. But because they do move around so frequently, I can't ever guarantee that they're going to be in the same place they were in the last time I was on the reserve. So typically what we like to try and do out here is see who's closest to us first here if possible. And then you might see some other trucks and some other wildlife a little bit farther away. We're going to follow that exact same pathway, and that'll be us very, very soon. And we're going to get just as close to those other animals as you see the other trucks are. Just with the savanna itself, that is going to make Animal Kingdom the largest out of all 4 of those theme parks. And it does appear our first friend on the savanna here. This is actually my personal favorite animal, as well as the tallest standing land mammal in the entire world. That would be the giraffe. Can you see, buddy? About around 18 to 20 foot tall. Well, what we'll see. What do I want to do? That's the giraffe. Typically when they're born, they're already around 6 feet or so tall. Now, not only are they super tall in height, we do also know they're going to have pretty long tongues. Those tongues are about 18 inches long, and they will be a lot darker in color. Typically, those purplish or even the bluish tones. Spends a lot of time outside of their mouth, of course, reaching up into the trees and different things like that. Maybe helping them pull those leaves off. So if they did have lighter colored pink tongues like you and I did, they could unfortunately get sunburn. So we're really thankful they're a lot darker to help them out. It does look like we are going to move on up into predator territory here momentarily. We're just letting this truck ahead of us get a little bit farther along. It looks like there's some springbok crossing up ahead there. They are very teeny tiny. Full grown though, they only stand at about 2 to 3 feet tall. Over on your left side, if you look at this den here, these are called African painted dogs. They do have those really unique markings, but they can still tell each other apart at pretty long distances.
Unique we see them laying down in there.
Now, unlike our domesticated dogs at home, they only have about 4 toes on each paw.
Size. So you gotta sit still.
And they do look really cute, like you could just take them right on home. However, they are one of the most successful hunters in all of Africa, so we would not recommend that. So the reason that they're so successful is they do not give up. They are going to physically hunt their prey down until it drops from exhaustion. So typically what happens is they'll have one dog start at the front of the pack beginning the hunt, and then when that dog gets tired, another one takes over. And then when that one gets tired, the next one will take over, and they just keep going like that. So that is going to give them the most successful hunting rate. On your right here, those are those springbok we were just talking about here. Again, full grown, but very teeny tiny. They only stand at about that 2 to 3 feet tall. They're going to get their name because they can spring upwards in the air of about 6 feet or forwards around 13 feet.
They can jump, so they just like.
They're also incredibly fast runners. They're going to run at speeds comparable to that of those cheetah. We do like pointing them out when we can as well, because springbok are the national animal of South Africa. And of course, we are all driving around together in Africa out here. I like to call them the s'mores of the reserve. They do look like little toasted marshmallows with the white on their legs and those brown on the backs.
See how they're doing, yeah.
I do appreciate your patience back there. It does sound like those animals have crossed up ahead here, so you're going to start seeing some movement in just a second. Aww. So we come about.
Yes.
Yeah, jump really funny. Right, so it does look like we are gonna keep on moving here. So if you didn't get a good look at the painted dogs, you'll get to see them as we go by on your left side here. Again, they're all sleeping in that den, which is typically where you can find them for a good bit of the day here. Aww. Now these are really special to us on your left here. Our friends, these are called sables. Sables are very special to us here at the safari. That's because they're going to be the emblem of the entire reserve. So if you've ever seen our logo, or even the sign before we entered the reserve that was sitting on the right side of the ride path that said, "Welcome to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve," that is a picture of the sables on it. They are all about protecting themselves. And of course, as a conservation area, we're all about protecting the wildlife here. So that is where that perfect emblem fit came into play there. Those horns were even pointed backwards to help protect them from any potential predators that could jump on their backs. Or it does also assist them in sparring with any of the other sables. And we are passing through, looks like some termite mounds here. If you do head over to the Gorilla Falls Trail we were talking about before, not only will you potentially get to spend more time, of course, with the hippo and the gorillas, you will also see some termite mound molds opened out there, and that's going to show you what the inside of them are supposed to look like, as well as you can always learn a little bit more about them too. Now we have circled back around to that first giraffe we saw when we entered the reserve here. I think the last thing we were talking about is how long their tongues are and how tall they are. Something else really cool about these giraffes, and if you pay close attention to that spot pattern, you're going to notice they're jagged all the way around the edges. That is in reference to the word Masai. So these are Masai giraffe.
This one already good.
Okay. Oh, can go. About this car, you may and the giraffe actually have something in common. We all have the same number of vertebrae inside of our neck.
They do.
Everybody's going to have a total number of 7. So it does make you think about how small ours must be and how large the giraffes must be in order for us to have the same amount, because they do clearly have much longer and larger necks than you and I do. Hopefully we'll get to find some more of them here very shortly. You do call a group of giraffe a tower. Oh, looks like there is one coming up on your right side here now. Don't let that baby. Oops. Well, they do run at around 30 miles an hour, but eventually they are going to slow on down to that cruising speed of about 10 miles an hour. And there are also a few other animals out there as well, including the wildebeest and a group of zebra. Now remember, a group of giraffe, we call that a tower. Group of zebra, that is a dazzle. So you have tower on the left, dazzle on the right. Oh my gosh!
Oh, awesome.
So at this time, we are going to go ahead and leave behind not only the first section of the reserve and head on over into the second. We're also crossing over to the middle point of the entire reserve. So sometimes we can find animals out here really, really well. Other times, not so much. It kind of just depends on where they're walking around right now, as they appear may not be super visible. We've had pretty good luck so far today, though, with lots and lots of wildlife. Let's see if we can keep that up here, but if not, we're not too far away from the next area.